In this video, we're going to talk about the sine rule or the law of sines. So in this particular case, we are going to be looking at triangles that are not right triangles. If a triangle is a right triangle, you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find missing side lengths. You can use SOHCAHTOA, those are the trigonometric ratios, sine, cosine, tangent. But here, when you don't have a right triangle, you cannot use Pythagorean theorem or SOHCAHTOA. So instead, we're going to try to use what's called the law of sines. The law of sines says that the sine of angle A is to its opposite side. I'm going to call it little a, okay? Because remember, capital letters are for angles in geometry. Lowercase letters are for sides. So the sine of angle A is to little a, as the sine of angle B is to lowercase b, as the sine of angle C is to lowercase c. Okay, so right now in the triangle that you see on your screen, we have triangle ABC. There's certain information that we do know. We know that angle B measures 70 degrees. We know that angle C measures 50 degrees. And I know that opposite of angle B, which is going to be lowercase b, that measurement is 100. So AC, the length of AC is 100. So now I'm going to go ahead and start by labeling the sides. So across from angle B, I'm going to have lowercase b or side B. Across from angle C, we have lowercase c or side C. Across from angle A, we have lowercase a or simply side A. Okay, so now I can go ahead and set up a proportion, which I'm going to cross multiply so that I can solve. So the information that I know for sure is that I have 70 degrees and I have the side opposite, which is 100. I'm going to work with that to start setting up my proportion. The sine of 70 degrees is to 100 as the other angle that I have is 50. So as the sine of 50 degrees is to lowercase c. One of the things you have to be careful with is make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. So you're going to go to your calculator, whichever one you're using, whether it's a scientific calculator or it's a graphing calculator, you want to make sure you're in degree mode. Now we're going to cross multiply. So take your calculator, multiply 100 times the sine of 50, and this equals c times the sine of 70. I have to get the lowercase c, the little c by itself. So I'm going to divide by the sine of 70. So now all of this is going to go into your calculator. When you put this into your calculator, pay attention to whether or not your calculator opens a parentheses before the 50 when you enter sine, okay? Because you want to make sure you close that parentheses, otherwise you're going to get the wrong answer. So after you cross multiply and divide, you're going to get that little c is 81.5. So now I can find the missing angle, which is angle A, because I can add up the other two angles and I can subtract from 180. So if I do 70 plus 50, that is equal to 120. The three angles in a triangle add up to 180. So if I subtract, that means that the missing measurement, the measurement of angle A for the angle, is going to be 60 degrees. And then last but not least, if I have to solve the triangle, meaning I have to find every single thing that's missing. Remember, a triangle has three angles, three sides. So we started off with three pieces of information. I have to find three. I'm still missing lowercase a. What is little a in this case? Unlike other right triangle problems where I could have done Pythagorean theorem, I cannot do that right now. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and use the fact that I know that angle A is 60 degrees so that I can set up the sine rule once again to be able to solve for little a. That means the sine of 60 degrees is to a as, and then now you have a choice. You can work with either the sine of 50 is to 81.5 or the sine of 70 is to 100. I will tell you that I will work with the sine of 70 is to 100 because those are exact values and I'm not actually doing round off error. I'm not using round off error, so I'm going to get a better answer by doing it this way. So again, I cross multiply. 100 times the sine of 60 is equal to a times the sine of 70. Divide both sides by the sine of 70. Cancels. Take your calculator, do 100 times the sine of 60, which gives you about 86.6, and now divide that by the sine of 70, and you get 92.2. So that means that little a is about 92.2. So there we have it. We've been able to figure out what lowercase a is, that's side BC. We figured out the measurement of angle A, and we figured out the measurement of lowercase c, or side AB. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at another example. So on your screen, you have triangle XYZ. This is an obtuse triangle. Notice that angle Y measures more than 90 degrees. It's 105 degrees. So again, this is not a right triangle. There is no indication that we have a right triangle in front of us, which means that we cannot use Pythagorean theorem or SOHCAHTOA. Instead, we're going to go ahead and try to use the law of sines. To do the law of sines, we're going to use a proportion. We're going to say the sine of 105 degrees, it's to its opposite side, 28, as, now you have to make a choice to see which angle you're going to find first. Because the only other side length that I have is this one right here, which is 10. The angle that is opposite of 10 is x, which means that I'm going to go ahead and work with the sine of angle x is to 10. So the sine of angle x is to 10. And you want to make sure you're consistent in your proportion, because I'm doing sine of 105 is to 28 as sine of x is to 10. Then I'm going to stay in that same order. If you want to do 28 is to the sine of 105 as 10 is to the sine of x, that is fine as well. Okay, you can do it in that order. But what I don't want you to do is to write 28 is to the sine of 105 as the sine of x is to 10. This is not correct. Okay, this is wrong, because you want to make sure that you are consistent when you're setting up your proportion. Let's go ahead and finish the problem. So now we're going to cross multiply. We get 10 times the sine of 105 is equal to 28 times the sine of x. We're going to divide both sides by 28. So take your calculator, do 10 times the sine of 105. Go ahead and divide that by 28. You should have gone 9.65925826269 divided by 28. You get 0.34497 is equal to the sine of angle x. So now what you want to do is find the arcsine of that answer, and that's going to give you approximately 20.2 degrees. So this means that angle x is approximately 20.2 degrees. Now, if you remember what I told you, the sum of the three angles in a triangle has to equal 180. So right now, if you take 20.2 and you add it to 105, you get 125.2. So 180 minus 125.2 is going to equal 54.8. So the angle that's missing, which is angle Z, is 54.8. With this information, I can go ahead and set up the law of sines once again so that I can find the missing side, which is side XY. So I'm going to say the sine of 54.8 is equal to, because this is capital Z, I can go ahead and label this lowercase z, as the sine of 105 is to 28. And once again, yes, I can go ahead and use the 20.2 with the 10 because they're across from each other, but I prefer to use the numbers that are exact that are given in the problem. So we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. So 28 times the sine of 54.8, that should give you about 22.88. And then you want to divide that by the sine of 105. And you get about 23.7. So that means that this answer is about 23.7. And then in case you're wondering, how do I kind of know if I did this correctly or not? Well, one of the things that you can check is opposite of the biggest angle is going to be the longest side. Opposite of the smallest angle is going to be the shortest side. So in this case, notice how the biggest angle is 105. Right across from it is the longest side, which is 28. Then the smallest angle is 20.2. And then it's right across from the shortest side, which is going to be 10. So in reality, we don't know exactly if this is exactly right. We're trusting that we've done it correctly. But at least we can kind of guide ourselves by knowing that it makes sense. If you had, let's say, across from the 10 here, instead of 20.2, you would have gotten, let's say, I don't know, 120. That's just not going to be possible, right? It doesn't make any sense for that to be 120 because 10 is a side length that's smaller than the 28. So at least you kind of know that your answers are within reason. I hope you found this video helpful. Remember to subscribe to my channel for more help with math so that you can say, yes, I can do math with confidence. Until next time, thanks for watching.